Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelvy, and I've been going over a bunch of stuff about Gen Con recently. Well, I recently got back from Gen Con. We left on Wednesday and came back on Monday. It is about a 10-hour drive for us, so it's not the funnest part of Gen Con, getting there itself, but we did have an overall great time, and I wanted to go over a little bit of our schedule, how everything went, and then what I would do different for next year. So on Wednesday, we actually had Korean barbecue with our whole gang, about 8 or 9 folks if I'm remembering correctly, and then some folks showed up even later, so it was more like 11 or 12 people showing up for Korean barbecue. I've had Korean barbecue several times before, and ultimately I agree with some folks that we went with that the Korean barbecue itself is a gimmick, like you're cooking your own food and it's about the experience. I could go to a Korean restaurant where like someone is cooking for me, and I think the food will be a lot better, but it was nice to like sit down and bullshit with everybody and have a good time. So I'm gonna chalk that one up as a win. But that was pretty late in the day, and we had already gotten there pretty late, so that was really all we did that day, was go out to eat and then get back to the hotel and rest up for the next day. So on Thursday, that's where the fun began. We had an Arkham horror game. I believe it was started at 10 a.m. in the morning. Of course, a.m. is in the morning. I didn't have to say that, but I did. And it was okay. I thought the game was pretty lackluster, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think that the mechanics of the game are fine, and I think that the story of the game was fine, the players were all good, and the GM did a good job. I just don't think the game was for me. I think that everything that the Arkham Horror RPG does, Call of Cthulhu does better. Now, there are some things that are very specific to the Arkham Horror RPG, such as like every character having some kind of strange magical ability. I really just didn't care for it very much, and I wouldn't play it again, but I am glad that I played it. Also on Thursday, a few hours after Arkham Horror, I think that started at 1 o'clock or maybe 2 o'clock, we played Starfinder 2nd Edition as part of their organized play system at the Paizo Room. And it was a great time. The GM was very good, the scenario was very good. Unfortunately, I just couldn't hit anything. Originally, I wanted to play a Sarkeesian mechanic, but because mechanic is out of playtest now, I wasn't allowed to use that character. Totally understandable, I totally get it. So I ended up playing Day, the Solarian iconic from the book, and I just couldn't hit anything to save my life. I was, the one hit I did get was a crit, so I guess that's cool, but otherwise I did not do a great job. But the story itself was fine, and I'm a big fan of Starfinder and Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so marrying the two just kind of seemed right to me. I picked up the Player Core, the Deluxe Edition, while I was there, and I've been paging through it, and I'm looking forward to playing more of that in the future. So on Thursday night, we actually got together, me and the rest of the gang from Unstabletop, and some folks that we don't normally get to play with in person. We play with them online quite a bit, but very rarely in person, if ever. So we got to play our normal Monday Seasons of Ghosts Pathfinder 2nd Edition game in person. And let me tell you, we maybe played for about an hour and a half of actual gameplay, which was very fun, and we had a great time with it. But I do think that the 2 hours that we spent just kind of cutting up and hanging out was much more fun than actually playing the game. It's just nice to see those guys in person, so that was a fun time for us. I did drink quite a bit that night, and one of my friends convinced me to eat a very hot pepper from out of some Indian food, and it made my mouth go numb and the left half of my face get really hot. The right side was fine, and I wish I had taken a picture because you could see a clear split down my face where the right side was, the left side was all bloodshot and hot, and the right side was just fine. So that was very strange. I guess I chewed it more on my left side maybe. I wouldn't do it again unless someone dared me to, in which case I'd probably do it again. But that was very fun to hang out with all of them in our hotel room and just kind of have a good time. And that was it for Friday. After that, we were all pretty tired. We had some early stuff on Saturday that we wanted to, on Friday that we wanted to get to. So we went to bed. So Friday was a bit slower as far as games go. We only had one scheduled event at Gen Con on Friday, and that was playing Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which was a very cute role-playing game where you take on the role of these guests inside of this bed and breakfast. It's run by a witch named Yazeba. I hope I'm saying that right. It could be Yabiza, but I think it's Yazeba. And it was very fun and cute, and I really wanted to buy a copy of that game. Unfortunately, it's only available print on demand through DriveThruRPG. You can get a hardcover or a soft cover, but it's only printed in black and white. And what's kind of frustrating about that is that it's a legacy game. So as you play through these little scenarios, you earn stickers that you put in the book to like upgrade the house or to unlock new characters or scenarios. And if you get this gets the print-on-demand version through our Drive-Thru RPG, you don't get those stickers. You have to kind of work with it yourself. So I'm hoping that at some point they'll do a full proper release of it again. That way I can actually buy it. But it was still a great time. Friday also served as like our majority vendor hall day. So from I think 1 o'clock until we went to a live show later that night at 7, we spent most of that time in the vendor hall. And the vendor hall this year was very packed, as it is every year. I believe that them not allowing carts or these other big pusher thingies that hold your stuff for you, it was a good change. I did not get my toes run over a single time. There were some people obviously who skirted that rule. I saw a few people who had kids with strollers, but the kids were outside of the strollers and they had loaded up the stroller with like games and such, which, you know, that's not in the spirit of the rule, but whatever. It was only a few people, and I'm sure that if Gen Con staff saw that, action was perhaps taken. I'm not sure, but overall it was a good time. I didn't pick up a ton of stuff this year. I'm a little strapped for cash this time of year, especially with us trying to save up next year for Gen Con again, and then also perhaps a trip to Universal Studios Orlando. I was trying to be conscious of how much I was spending, so we didn't, stop and actually buy a bunch of stuff, but we did look at stuff. We spent not enough time, I think, in the art show. I really liked spending time there, but I felt rushed the entire time because I'm like, well, I got to see the whole thing. So I would definitely do it again next year in a different manner, but we'll talk about that at the end. And then lastly, on Friday, we went to the Glass Cannon Network's Call of Cthulhu live show at the Bastille Theater in the Athenaeum in downtown Indianapolis, which the venue I think is okay. It's kind of like a dinner theater kind of place. So you've got tables where there are 4 chairs set up around it, and you kind of have to turn the chairs around to actually see the stage. But the show was very good. It's always pretty good. The last year's show I think was better. And I'm going to do a slight spoiler for this show, so if you're going to see it later, either video or listen to the podcast, perhaps skip forward like 30 seconds from this point. The scenario was very strange in that it was a doomed scenario. Once they went to a certain point in the show, there was no chance that they were surviving at all. It just wasn't going to happen as written, as I understood it. I also think that 7 people is a lot for a Call of Cthulhu scenario. I think the sweet spot for Call of Cthulhu is 3 to 4 players and then a GM. So having 7 people, you don't get to focus a lot of time on the individual characters, and that kind of hampers it for me. But the show was still very funny and very enjoyable, so I would recommend it. I hope they do it again next year so that I can go again and complete my poster collection, because I do have a bare space on my wall over there where a poster could go. Saturday was also a pretty slow day as far as games go. We have a Saturday morning pass for the games library that we only played, I think, 2 or 3 games, and one of them we quit halfway through because it was kind of like, it's cute, but it's not fun. So here's the thing with the games library. If you're going to go, you should have a plan on what games that you want to play beforehand so that you don't feel like you're spinning your wheels and wasting time looking for games. You can look up what games they have beforehand, so you can say, okay, well, I want to play this game and this game and this game. They're not going to have like the brand new super hot releases from Gen Con, but they will have the majority of games that you could think of. It was a fun time still, but next year I would like to do it with a plan. Ironically, I think that I could probably fill that time in with other events and have a better time. So my camera decided to cut my video in half there, so hopefully everything looks okay still. I'll just keep going from where I think I left off. So during our board game time in the games library, we actually went to another event. We played a board game called Yennari: The Witch's Market, which is by the same folks who make Obojima: Tales from the Tall Grass, the supplement for 5th edition that's kind of Ghibli-esque. And I thought that game was really fun. It's like it's Tableau / deck building. It's probably more deck building than Tableau. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut that out. It's a deck building game for sure, where you spin ingredients to make potions, and those potions get you points, and then you can use potions to activate character abilities and such. It's very fun. That game's not out yet, but it should be coming to Kickstarter sometime in September, or at least that's what the guy who was running the game for us said, and I look forward to purchasing that. So perhaps the standout event for me, or at least the biggest event for me during this entire trip, was going to see Critical Role live and in person for their Indianapolis live show. Now, the live show was in Fishers, so it was actually a lot closer to our hotel than it was was the convention center, but it was about a 35-minute Uber from the ICC to the Fishers Event Center, and the Uber was fine. It was only like $30. I expected it to be a lot more, quite frankly, but I'll take what I can get. The show itself was great. I've been a Critical Role fan for a long time. I started watching when Campaign 2 started, and then I finished Campaign 2, and then during COVID I watched all of Campaign 1, and then I've caught up and I've finished Campaign 3 as well, and this was an extension of Campaign 3, but they were running the Belltales characters in their new system Daggerheart. It was very cool, and I'm going to go into a little bit of a spoiler here, so again, if you're not caught up, if you haven't seen it, if you're not, well, you haven't seen it yet because it hasn't come out yet as far as I'm aware as to posting this video, but I'm going to jump into a little bit, so skip forward maybe 45 seconds while I yap a little bit. So it was very, very cool that I got to see the Campaign 4 announcement live and in person right in front of my eyes. It was very cool to see Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford come out in a single turtleneck to talk about their time there at Darrington, and it was very, very cool to see Brennan Lee Mulligan come out on stage and be announced as the new game master for Critical Role, and that Matt's going to be a player. Some changes I think are good. I hope that they run Daggerheart. I hope that they have a rotating cast or fill in different cast members. They said that some people were going to most likely step away and there would be some new faces. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure some people will stop watching because of that. I hope that they're able to maintain their audience and all that good stuff, but the show itself was very, very fun. It was very cool to see all the critters cosplays, and it was very cool to see all these folks in this event center that are just happy to see Critical Role. It was a very late night. It started at like 7, and then I don't think we left until midnight, and we didn't get back to the hotel till like 12:30. I was very tired. I am old. So we got right in bed. Now here's the fun part. I did cosplay the entire day. I was doing my level 10 Caleb cosplay, and stupidly I didn't take any pictures of myself. Several people stopped me to take my picture. I didn't once think, oh, I should probably take a picture of myself. So I don't have any, but it was very warm. He's got a jacket, and then on top of that a coat, and he's wearing long pants, and I've got the wig. I will never ever do full day cosplay ever again. It was more convenient because we didn't have to go back to the hotel for me to do a cosplay swap or anything, but at this point, thinking back on it, I will not do it again. If I do it again, it will be for half of the day, if that. I may be done doing full day cosplays overall. It's a lot, and it's too hot. It's too hot, especially in the summer. It wasn't so hot. It was, nice in the high 70s, low 80s the entire time we were there. Very low humidity for the most part, but still, I felt very warm. It's still summer. So I probably won't be doing that again. It was very nice to see all the cosplays. Everything was well done, and I had a great time overall. But that was it for Saturday night because I was slap tired by the time we got back. Sunday was probably the slowest day for us overall. We had one game scheduled, and that was Cyberpunk Red, which was using an Edgerunners Mission Kit mission. Karaoke Night, it's the DLC one that came out shortly after the Edgerunners Mission Kit came out. And we had a great GM. His Instagram is Devin the Bard, and he runs like a Cyberpunk event, I believe he told us, somewhere over there in the Charlotte area, I want to say. So if you're interested, look him up. I had never played Cyberpunk before, so I thought that the system was very good, very easy to understand. In fact, it's so easy to understand that I'm going to run it this week at my own tabletop event, with only having played it the one time. I read through the mission. I think I should be able to do it just fine. But the game was very fun, and I think that was probably a good end cap for our events. Now, after we finished Cyberpunk, we decided to do one last stroll through the vendor hall. It was still very packed, even though we were getting close to the time that it closes on Sunday. We went and tried to hit some of the hot spots that we missed overall, but I still feel like there were a few rows that we either breezed through or didn't go down at all. Next year, I do believe that we will probably have to schedule like a plan to get through the vendor hall. We like to do a snake normally, but we were in and out so frequently that we didn't have time to do that. So next year, I think we'll plan for that. Speaking of things that we're going to do next year, every year I tell myself, oh, the 10-hour drive isn't so bad. Plus, you get to stop at Buc-ee's on the way. No, the 10-hour drive is bad. It is not good. It is not good for my back to be sitting that long in a car. I don't imagine it's good for anyone to be sitting that long in a car. Fortunately, I didn't do any driving, but still sitting in the car for that long sucks. So no matter what I tell myself, no matter how much I try to talk myself out of it, I do believe that if we go next year, we will be flying. Hopefully out of our local airport, not having to drive to Atlanta. But if it comes down to it and it saves us a few bucks, we might just end up driving to Atlanta and flying out from there. We're also definitely going to try to stay much closer to the venue. Last year, we stayed about 3 miles out, and I thought that was fine. We still had to pay for parking, but the parking garage that we got was pretty good. It was connected to one of the hotels that's connected to the convention center, so it was a very short walk, and it was air conditioned the entire time. This year, we stayed about 15 miles out, 15 to 20. I don't remember the exact one. And the drive was about 30 to 40 minutes every day. And then we parked at a parking lot that was much farther away, so it was a walk-in every day, and it was just not the best experience. Obviously, it's a luck of the draw whether or not you're able to get a closer hotel, but we are hoping that if we purchase our badges separately, we can all get a fair shot at the hotel lottery. We've also considered an Airbnb, but considering some of the stories I've heard from the past a year or two about people getting last minute cancellations, I am wary to do that, but we'll see a lot closer to when the event actually comes up. And then, like I said earlier, we definitely want to spend more time in the exhibit hall. There were some booths that I definitely didn't get to look at, and there are some that I probably looked at for a few seconds and then glanced off, and they maybe had some cool stuff that I was looking forward to. I'm hoping to save a bunch more money so that I don't feel super constricted with how much I'm able to spend next time. That's going to be coming down to me and my own financial decisions and my own financial practices. So we'll see how that goes. Depending on how much money I'm able to save between now and then, may not go in at all. It's going to be down to my own self-restraint when it comes to buying things, which I'm not very good at. So we'll see how that goes. But I do believe that's going to wrap up our coverage for Gen Con 2025 with this little video kind of saying, here's what we did and here's what we do next time. I do plan on making some more videos when this comes around next year. News for that's going to start coming in early January. We'll get the hotel lottery dates, the badge sale dates, the event dates, and we'll go over all that stuff again. I probably won't do like the same instructions tutorial kind of videos unless they change things, but we still will go over hotels and different kind of events that I'm looking forward to. So if you've enjoyed this series, I do hope you come back next year for some more information. I don't know that I'm going to be making more videos. It's not really something that I have time to do outside of this Gen Con guide series. So I guess I'll see you next year, man. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good day.